Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Shumson, and this is a coaching room event. Sue has just arrived. Welcome, Sue. Brave.
Hello.
We've got Sue.
Hi, guys.
James here. We're going to have
Hello,
with James. We've got Max here. And then we've got Sue. Do you want to wave, Sue?
Hello.
First one to arrive. There you go. You wave. You're on the screen.
Yay.
Good to meet you. So what we're going to do, this is a regular Tuesday session. It may not always be live, and we're going to come on to that in a little bit, because I know Sue's very brave to arrive when it's being filmed, going out to the whole world, and that's okay. But this is a private event. So the idea is that you within the community can connect and can chat with each other and find out more what's going on in your lives, as well as how you use an NLP in your professional, whatever the word is that goes after that. You can tell, as you can see, I've got a filthy, fluey, coldy thing. I don't normally look quite so bedraggled, but I will battle on through and focus on James. James first. How are you, James?
I'm good. I just got over my flu, actually.
I know,
I've had a flu for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I must have transmitted it to you via Skype.
No, it's because I called you Mr. Sniffles on one occasion. I got it. I deserved it.
Yes. I came back to get you.
That's what it was.
Good.
It was like, oh, no sympathy. Guess what? So there we go. Excellent. So James, you've just done the master prac, and you did a prac in Brisbane recently.
I did.
Yep.
Yes, I did.
You're back from training. So a lot of people are going to know James. Do you want to just in case they don't know, haven't trained with you, do you want to say who you are, what you do?
Hey, gang. My name is James. I'm one of the trainers at the coaching room. I do a lot of the NLP practitioner programs. Recently just did the master practitioner. Later this year, I'll be co-hosting ACMC, the Coaching Mastery, for those of you who are going to become coaches with the coaching room. I'll be doing that with Michael Hall. So I do a lot of the trainings in the company, do a lot of the coaching in the company as well, and make some of the decisions with Jay and Joseph as well.
Yeah, great.
That's
okay.
my 2-minute bio.
That's 2 minute bio. Great. Let's just go to Max, and then we'll come to Sue, and then I'm going to come back and just ask James some questions. Sue some questions. Max, just so everyone knows who you are, they probably do already. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, everyone. My name is Max. I'm part of the coaching room. You've probably received some emails from me, maybe just a few. So I handle the communications within the company and handle some of the social things as well. So you would have seen a lot of my posts in the coaching room community. I've recently stepped up to do some of the NLP trainings, which was a big move for me, given that, when I came across the coaching room, one of the was public speaking. Wasn't quite able to stand up in front of people without flushing bright red and becoming a sweaty mess on the floor. So yeah, it's a big step for me.
Good. Excellent. Well done. And coming across to Sue. Thanks, Max. Sue. Who are you?
Hi, guys. Who am I? My name's Sue Balby. I'm from Sydney. I started doing coaching room programs mid last year. So I've done the curriculum of NLP, Master Prac, ACMC, and the mentoring program. Yeah.
Great.
I coach.
Who's the coaching room veteran?
Cool. So, and you coach? Do you coach execs or individuals? Personal?
Yep, bit of personal, bit of executive, around communication and presentation.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks. Now, you just reminded me, this weekend, which happens to be the, I'm not sure what the date, 4th of October now, if you're watching this in the future, it won't be this weekend. The weekend coming, Max, there's an event, a social event, isn't there, in Sydney? You just reminded me. So, do you want to say what that is?
Yeah, sure. So we'll be running NLP Practitioner Part 2 in Sydney. So Jay and I will be in Sydney University Village, and we're holding a social event. We've booked a restaurant for about 12 people. And so there are about 6 spots available. If you'd like to come and join us, have a dinner, have a drink, send me an email or send Adam at thecoachingroom.com.au an email.
Okay, fantastic. That's this weekend. Work out the date. We're Tuesday today, Saturday. My brain's gone. Okay, so that weekend. So I'm going to ask James some questions. If you're watching this live, then please just pop in now. But we will have them. So they're not live, and we're going to have a permanent link hangout. I promised this for a little while, but I just want to get sort of a regular slot going. These will then, the live ones will be for content largely, and then we'll have a permanent link hangout that we'll be having at this slot, and I'll be there James will pop in, Max, Jay, Joseph, everyone around, but it'll be for you as members to be able to connect with each other. So my background, just so you know, organizational psychology, did NLP 97, 98, 99. I worked with John Seymour a lot, wrote some books on NLP. So I've started to write on the blog. John mentioned that. So I think that there's a new sort of like resurgence potentially around NLP when we look at it from an online perspective and communication online. These tools being an aspect of that. I've been running events for the last 4.5 years. I've interviewed, say, literally hundreds of people on this sort of format or using Skype. And I know from a communication point of view and from an influence standpoint, I changed it from point of view then just to mix it up. Excuse me. Then I know that we can do certain things that will change how people receive us and respond to us. So if you're checking out the blog, every Monday I am blogging, and it started with NLP in a digital world. And then we went to communication skills very specifically, loads of tips. And then we went to questions yesterday, and then next week is going to be very much about online influence. I've got that ready to go, just got to shape it up. So I'll give you a different angle. I've built, so I did the 1 million followers bit on social media and all of that. So if you want to embrace this tech, then I'm here on these sessions as well, answer any questions that you've got. Go from there. Okay, James, NLP, question I've got is, what do you think? Where's people at with NLP at the moment? The people who are coming on the courses, is it all new, or have the skills disseminated throughout the culture since like emotional intelligence and Daniel Goleman and all of that? And I know that the coaching room has a different way actually because of the meta coaching side of it. But are people still wowed by NLP on the courses?
Oh yeah. A lot of people I speak to who come on the courses, usually they've heard about it from someone. Either they got referred, directly to us by one of their friends. I was speaking to a lady last weekend at MasterPrac who mentioned that she's in a business networking, like an entrepreneurial kind of group, and mentioned some of the struggles that she was having and was referred by someone else to go to NLP. I find that in the entrepreneurial and the kind of business community, it gets mentioned a lot. So a lot of people, when they come to our courses and when they first speak to us, they kind of have a background idea of, it being a valuable thing, but they haven't really experienced it directly. And so a lot of people, come on with, I would say, certain outcomes that they want to achieve for themselves, small goals. And I say small goals because what happens is when they get on the program, the reasons why they came always expand. People say, wow, on day one, I came because I wanted to be a better communicator, or I wanted to handle my emotions more effectively. And what they get is so much more. They get an entire blueprint understanding of how they're running themselves right now, or not running, being run.
Yeah.
How they're running their brains or being run by their brains. And they get this paradigm shift where they realize a lot of what I thought was possible for me, a lot of the paradigms that I was coming from were quite limiting and quite untrue. And now I realize as I be here on this program, as I see other people show up and transform and change things and let go of beliefs and change and all of this stuff, I realize if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. So this kind of experience emerges where people are really shy first day, first 1 or 2 days, but by the 8th day on the NLP practitioner program, it's a micro community has been born. Where people realize there's so much more available to them, and it's like I kind of liken it almost like being a toddler again for the first time, where you start testing your boundaries, start testing your powers, you start walking for the first time, start exploring the world in an entirely new way, where your powers are growing, what you're able to do is growing, how you're able to relate with people is growing. And so I've gone off on this tangent now. I can't remember your original question.
No, that's great. So, I think a lot of people that watch this, because they're in the community, they would have gone through that process themselves. So this is where I'm curious, because I'm sort of reconnecting into this thinking, because I did my training almost 20 years ago now. So, and even though I continued and became a trainer, etc., I remember it being one of the most exciting things that I ever did in terms of the 20 days to practice, and I did another. It was like I always wanted skills. So the question becomes evangelizing about it. I ran around, and I'm sure I had, it's like, you've got to read this book, you've got to learn this, because I am of that nature. How then, as people who are in the community, how do you appropriately communicate that passion? And I'm going to ask Sue about this, because I'm curious, because I want to try and, I want to get to a point where I can calibrate the culture and the understanding and the enthusiasm that's going on in the room that's created, and that you end up with that community. But I also want to look at, how does this fit in? I'm going to be nice about this. Are you a bunch of weirdos in Australia that have learned these super skills and everyone's looking at you, what the heck has happened? Or are you very much integrated within the organizations and very much within the, because I know I was that weirdo, my sister tells me, is so enthusiastic and excited. And I didn't necessarily, in my early 20s, communicate it in the way that I would do now, because I would much more contextualize it. It's much more embodied. Sue, what do you reckon?
Well, initially you said, how do we go about communicating it? And I think it's usually when you're given a new tool, it's a bit inappropriately. We tend to, you're warned in the coaching room, don't do it on yourself, not on others. But of course, we all go out and do it on those around us. So I think that's kind of part of the process. I too came across some of this information a number of years ago, and I think it was very different then to how it is now. I think there's much more acceptance and awareness of some of this information already out there, maybe not in the detail that it's taught in the course, but I think people are much more open and receptive to it than they were, say, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wondered. And yet, as you said, the detail's not there. The depth isn't there. It can't be there if people are just having a 5-10 minute conversation. I mean, how can you? And then you have the experience and the practice. So what about businesses? I mean, let's come across. I'll stick with you, Sue. You're on the screen, by the way. Do you think businesses is it coaching that they pick up on it, or is it leadership, or is it NLP, or is it emotional intelligence? Where do people sort of connect with the thinking?
I think probably leadership, communication, emotional intelligence are 3 big hooks. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And I think something that I could still explore around the emotional intelligence. In fact, there's so much I could explore. So which leads me on, Enneagram. So I hadn't come in contact with the Enneagram as a formal process at all until a month ago. So just so you know, if you've taken the test, we're working on the test. And as I said, we're probably at about 70% accuracy. We want to get to 90, 95 before we do anything. So thanks for your input on it. Those little animals, I gave birth to those animals, never not the animals. James, a punctilious penguin. Max is something meerkat, can't remember. They are cute. They're nice. So we worked on it.
What are you?
What am I? I'm a spontaneous chicken. It would have been scattered if it would have been scattered if anyone else had written the names of them.
Oh, 7. All right.
So the idea being is, how do you communicate with people in another way? So we've got that going on. We've also got, I'll tell you where this trigger now. I'll come back to the Enneagram. We've also got a learning styles quiz that we're creating, as in learning preferences, VAK. And I'm going to look at little creatures for that. Maybe not animals, but we're working on that as well. But part of this, and the reason I ask questions, is how do we connect with people where they're at? And how do we engage them where they're at, as opposed to, I always think NLP is like electricity, which is it needs something to plug in, whether it's, ideally, it doesn't, because we can go and learn, we know we can get into the fabric of it and look at the deconstructivist nature of it. But for a lot of people, they need something to sit on top: application, leadership, improving communication skills, etc. So one of the things that you've just sprung is EI, emotional intelligence. Do people still connect? I mean, James, you've been doing events on this. Do people still connect with EI as a concept in Australia now?
Yeah, definitely think so. Emotional intelligence, I think, if anything, is a concept that is growing in popularity, in what people are searching for.
Yeah.
It's become, I think, somewhat mainstream. Yeah, now there's companies getting involved. There's organizations doing emotional intelligence trainings. There's much more of a focus on it, I think, than there has been in the past.
Okay. What about you, Sue, on that one? Do you think emotional intelligence is an easy way in for people? I'm loading that question, I realise, because I'm basically saying it is. But would you agree that it is? And is it still fresh enough?
There's a lot more awareness of emotional intelligence. From the top down, people are realising that they need, in order to function. I mean, Daniel Goleman's whole piece is that in order to be very successful in business, you've got your IQ to kind of get you in there as a base level entry point. But what differentiates the people that are super successful is their emotional intelligence. And that, I think, has become pretty common knowledge. And so I think people are attuned to, well, how emotionally intelligent am I? If that's going to give me if that's going to make the difference for me, I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
Well said.
So James.
I said well said. Well said.
Well said. Good. So Sue, let's tie it back into the Enneagram. So, because this is where because we've been putting the test together, and because I'm a spontaneous chicken, I just wondered whether the Enneagram is mainstream, or with EI. Where do you think the Enneagram could? Well, I don't know. So this is the question. I don't know how to say it without loading it. Enneagram and business. That's where I'm going. Do you use it in business context, Sue?
Yes, definitely. I definitely use it. I find it like a really useful tool. I think it's at a very different place to where where emotional intelligence is, but I think it's most definitely got potential to become a highly used tool.
Yeah. It's interesting. Holding 9 things in your head isn't the easiest thing. And I think that's one of the challenges, which is why we've got the other test that we'll be having as well. But with EI, we're doing levels and type. If we're going from a Welber point of view. So really, it's somebody who is able to be mapping in dimensions. There's a lot that you've got. So as a coach, it's great because you can train and you can be there running your model just naturally whilst you're listening to what's going on and then responding. And I think that the entry point, if you imagine, James, that you're running the Enneagram course as the entry point, and then talking about levels of abilities within that, then suddenly you're into more sophisticated territories, I guess. But I suppose I'm looking at how best do we communicate some of the benefits of these things, really haven't got a cold, to that business audience in particular. I just need that as a poignant moment of silence. Okay, so any questions within the community?
Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
In the same way that emotional intelligence was marketed, it's the potential is that it's giving you a window into understanding about yourself and how you function and how others function around you. So it's really marketing it as a tool to better operate yourself and to better communicate with others. And that's a critical business tool.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm going. And so the trajectory on this, you get me at my best, picking my ear, blowing my nose. Sorry, it's because I'm relaxing you all. The idea being, once you know your type, how do you not fall into your worst self? How do you become your best self? All of those things. I think that's the one piece that we can have. But the other piece is then how do you know what somebody else is? So knowing the other types well enough to know, and then how do you communicate effectively with them, and how do you help them be their best self? That would be my.
Would you not do that within a business where you offer that as a tool to, that everybody within your team, say, does the Enneagram test, and so everybody is aware of everybody else's type and has a basic understanding?
See, I think, Sue, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of T-shirts. If you imagine, so anyone watching this, if you imagine that you're in a room of people and you've all got your type on. Firstly, anyone who's a Doberman, which is type 8, like Jay, you're going to be like, they're on their own. They're on their own, drinking their coffee and eating their croissant in the corner, right? No, but you would let, but the fact is, you're going to come across people that are type 8. So somebody who is what is type 8? It's not the reformer, is it? I'm still
Challenger.
Challenger.
Type 8 is the challenger.
Yeah. So that is the most challenging. There we go. Type, it would seem, for interactions, because they're very direct and etc. etc. The point is that if you can see visually and see the behaviors the person has and communicate over a period of a day or 2 days within a business context, and then you go away and you wear the t-shirt and then you stop wearing the t-shirt, and you could have a little sign around and show what it is or whatever, or a little badge and so on. That could be a way. That's an inexpensive way, actually, is to do badges. So the idea being exactly what you say is that you can experience whilst within the context of all of those different types, which I think will be easier to remember if you see somebody visually and you see the t-shirt, you see the badge or whatever it is, and you connect then that conversation back within that context. I'm always looking at where's it going to go wrong? How are we going to forget? How are we not going to do? And those small things could make a big difference. So thank you for that, because badges is a lot less expensive than trying to have smalls through to extra larges of t-shirts I was going to have to bring into a container shipped into Sydney Harbour in order to have the right options, sizes for all the different 9 types. But something like that, I think, is a really good offering where people can have a bit of fun and communicate, and maybe there's scripts that they can run through if they're already there. Yeah, we can sort something out. Yeah, it's great.
And I would say, if you're going to do, really like your idea of having the animals, because I think I'm probably more likely to remember a Doberman than one of 9 numbers. But if you connect the two, the number with the Doberman on your badge,
very good.
Even more powerful.
So that's a great point. Well done. So it would be number and animal. Let me have a look. I'll look into this, and I'll look at it from the badges point of view and see, whether or not we do something like that. I think we can have t-shirts anyway, and I'm not considering. I've already created the images. I just haven't got it through to process where people can buy the t-shirts yet, but there will be those available, simply because I think that there's opportunity to learn in a different way, and it's fun. That's it. So I'm glad for that. What type are you, Sue?
I'm a reformer, a 1.
So
Penguin.
Quite a few 1s, quite a few 7s, quite a few 2s. What was that? Penguin. You're punctilious penguin.
Is that what it is? Right.
That's great. So same as James.
Fellow penguin.
Cool. So look, to help me on that then, do you think that we need the number, the name, the name we've given it, punctilious penguin, and the image? Do we need all of that information, or do we get rid of the reformer name and just have punctilious penguin? Because I'm just thinking, how would we display it? Yeah.
If it's on a badge, if you put too much information, you'll lose me.
Yeah.
I just put 1 in the penguin.
Just 1 in the penguin. Yeah. Okay.
Keep it simple.
Or what about if the number was on the penguin? It's the same thing, but just me thinking about design.
Wearing a t-shirt. The penguin's wearing a t-shirt. You need one of those audio badges that actually you press a button that tells you about it for all those.
Let's not get too technical. We're only just starting. Yeah, no,
press a button that lets off a smell. And
but I think the Enneagram for Business is something that we could be doing. And I think that also, I take the think out. Also, longer term, there is the combination of the skill set that I've got, that is a lot of the online, a lot of the influence, a lot of the micro details, whether it be imagery and how we've ended up using animals, all of this stuff. There's a digital intelligence which is emerging. And I would say that over time, over the next 3 years, we'll start to look at how that goes. So if you're looking at the series of articles that I'm writing, there's NLP throughout everything. But I didn't set out when I went online, particularly because I was doing marketing, I didn't set out to teach people NLP. I taught people about the psychology of. And the psychology of being what happens in somebody else's mind when an activity occurs, when an event happens, what goes on. And I just found that the people were saying, well, that's exactly what happens in my mind when that event happens. So I would give choice points and what have you. So I was doing all of the micro detail, very geeky, and then going from there. So I want to bring that stuff in, and I like the Enneagram. There's typology across that, because I think the levels and communication levels are something which is different to type. I don't think. Tell I'm thinking a lot today. It's not I think, it is different. We know it's different. So, you know, how we improve then becomes a pathway, becomes a journey, which is what you guys have been doing. So, super. I like this. Super wasn't a pun. James, what's next?
Yes.
Where are you going? What do we have for the community over the next couple of weeks? We've got some content, proper, not just, let's say not just, this has been enjoyable, but you actually, we're going to have some, what is it going to be, mind lines we're going to be doing as well? So, some content.
Yeah. So next week we're going to do another live Q&A, except this time we're going to be delivering some content rather than having, you know, kind of a general community call. And because this month is Master Prac month, we just had Master Prac in Melbourne, and we've got Master Prac coming up in Sydney in a couple of weeks. Why not use some of the, you know, amazing content we're delivering in Master Prac? And next week we're going to be doing mind lines, which just happens to be my favorite NLP subject of all time. So mind lines is all about.
Give us a 30-second version, James. Give us a 30-second on mind lines.
Okay, so mind lines is all about how meaning works. Yeah, how a human being makes meaning out of something, how it constructs meaning, and based on that, how to change meanings. Yeah, because it takes a human being to create meaning. So a human being is the person that can come along and change meaning. And why that's sexy is because how you feel and what you do whenever you experience an event depends on what it means to you. If criticism means you're being attacked, then you're going to defend, obviously. If public speaking means rejection and shame and all those kinds of things, well, you're going to have a very specific emotional response and a very specific behavioral response based on what it means. Well, mind lines is the art of changing what things mean, and so the metaphor is changing a mind with a simple line, a simple sentence. And so I found this to be an incredibly transformational subject. When I first learned this, when I was a student learning this was one of the subjects where I could literally go away after the training was finished, figure out some struggle or some problem that I had, write it out, and learn, because I just learned 20 different ways to reframe, 20 different ways to change my mind about what something means. And I would just run through this with a notepad and a pen, and about halfway through, one of the mind lines would just crack the whole thing open, and I would have changed my relationship to something just like that on my own. Yeah. Just by running through a process. So it demonstrated amazing credibility and validity to me, and it's been a subject that I've used again and again and again in trainings, in coaching, in conversation with my partner, all kinds of different contexts. So it's a very sexy subject to me. In a nutshell, it's the science and art of persuasion.
Awesome. Okay, so let's have that.
Change your mind and someone else's.
That's a better frame. The art and science. Go around, around. Come on, why change it? The art and science of persuasion. Next week, mind lines. James. Okay, awesome. Max, I look forward to that. Max, what have you got going on? What do you want to let everybody know about? Last couple of minutes. Well, and then we come to see soon.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on this month. We've got NLP Practitioner Part 2 in Sydney. We've got NLP Practitioner Part 2 in Brisbane. We've got the Melbourne module. So if you've part of the community and you're in one of those cities, we'd love for you to come back and revisit the practitioner course, either as a participant or an assistant member. We've got Master Practitioner coming up in Sydney as well. And we love some support. So if you'd like to come and relearn, more than welcome to come along to that. Besides that, we've got some community events. So we've got the practice groups in Melbourne and Sydney. We've got one this weekend in Melbourne, actually. So I'll pop that up in the Facebook group. That'll be on unassailable motivation. We've also got Women in Leadership later on this month or early next month. So we've got a lot of events going on in the community for you, and they're all free to attend for the community. So yeah, we'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Thanks.
Especially this Saturday, the dinner. I'll be there. Be there or be square.
There we go. This Saturday, Sydney. Sue, any last thoughts, comments?
much. It's been delightful to hang out with you, and really I'm excited about the space that's opening up here, an opportunity to mix and mingle and share ideas. It's really great. So thank you.
Cool. Awesome. We will increasingly, hopefully, connect with more of you. One last thing from me before we wrap up for today. On the resources area on the website, there are lots of new PDFs, lots of new things, whether it's for you or for anyone else that could be interested. Tips on developing personal relationships. They're all new PDFs that we've been putting together. The MetaStates one has just gone live today or yesterday. So we did an event with MetaStates. We had it all in one place. You can go to the site. So go to resources on the top bar, and you can download that. And anyone can download. So do check those out. And we're going to have the quadrants one, and then we're going to have the Enneagram one. We're going to have the quiz come in. We're going to have learning styles and preferences. We're going to have all of this that will roll out over the next month or so. Community events Tuesday at this time, and sometimes they'll be live when we're doing the content, so live this week, but we will also have them for, I know some people don't like the camera, so we will have a permanent hangout, and bit by bit, I've done this many, many times, so bit by bit, the trust will be built within the community that people can arrive and have a good, nice, friendly conversation. So we'll have one link that will be like knocking on the door, you can go in, see who's there, and that's going to be for you, and we'll develop that over the next month. So little by little, you're already in the community. You know, you're in the Facebook group, you've got contact with everybody in the coaching room. What I want to happen is that you feel that you can just jump into a room and have a conversation about whatever you're into, really. And I think a lot of people are into NLP coaching and the like, obviously, in this community. There we have it. Thank you, James. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Sue. Take care. We'll see you the same time next week.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.